And one thing to, I love talking to GMs, to be honest, because it just brings me back to my days, right? And salespeople, right? I was a former director of sales in a couple properties, independent and branded. So it's like the how creative you can be. It's really up to you and your operations team, your general manager, right? Like, but I also understand that maybe the GM goal is make sure you are saving costs is now in Q1 because it's low. But like understanding at times why do we need to be a little bit more conscious on how we spend on Q1. I think it's also essential. But my point here going to this aspect of the business is how do you communicate internally with your team on the overall goals? Because each department these days, to be honest, I'm out of the hotels. I'm no longer in the property, right? I work remotely now, but I always see every time that I speak with, for instance, a general manager, you have a goal, right? For your day, for your month, for your quarter. And then I'm having a conversation with a director of sales like yesterday, for instance, I spoke with someone and, I was like, oh, so how are you guys doing your local accounts, And then she didn't she didn't let me finish my thought, but she was already like, oh, let me transfer you to catering department. I'm like, no, 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 no. This is not a catering business. I'm talking about a local account, right? And sometimes because people already have their goals in mind, right? Like
Mhm.
the way she heard something, oh, wedding, rooms and how do people book? And I'm like, okay, let's take a step back. Maybe, it was me, but let me explain to you, walk you through this. So I think having those steps, right, established to the teams of how you have a goal as a GM, the catering folks they have a different goal, the revenue, but we are all working together, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you make that clear to your team on how to ensure that everybody's working together towards the same goal?
Well, a couple different ways. One, every month we have kind of a full, associate meeting, call it all colleagues, and we go over our goals and go over our performance, and we go over what's happening in the hotel, and we celebrate anniversaries and birthdays, all those different things. But that's probably the one thing that everyone looks forward to that. We also have our stand-up meetings that happens in every department where we do review, what happened the night before. We talk about what's going on during that time. We actually go over our core value of the week so that we can, so everyone knows to keep maintaining the culture. Anything that we need to discuss in that meeting, comes up, and any, challenges. Sometimes we let our colleagues take the lead of those meetings, which has really been working well for us. The other thing is just, again, communicating by email, which we have everyone's email, whether it's our work email or our associates' personal emails, so they know what's going on. Anytime that we have a win, we try to shout it out and celebrate it on a regular basis. We do a lot of fun events that we do to basically recognize the team, let them know when we do well, right? And to say, well, we achieved this goal, we're going to celebrate, whatever it is. So there's so many different ways that we do it. And just I think one of the other things that I'm leaving out that's probably most effective are one-on-one meetings.
Oh, I love those. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot to bring that up, but that's really where the rubber meets the road, because in those meetings, you do have the team that uh, they're in the meetings, they're enjoying it, but they may not bring up something that they want to talk about on a one-on-one basis. And I think that's the secret sauce, is to have those conversations, know where your team is at, know where they are, know what their likes are, what their goals, their growth opportunities, and just make sure that you're having those on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I love the one-on-ones, but also I believe it's so important, right? Like for us to be open with our direct managers, but then also within the company, really like, oh, if you see, like I remember with this owner, right, that interviewed me, and then later on, he didn't hire me, by the way. And I was like, later on, I was like, oh, I just want to let this is my new contact information. I'm having a wonderful time in California.
Oh,
And, like now looking back, people from California, I'm still connected,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
that's actually what brought me to DC, because that part of the ownership in California bought a hotel in DC. And I'm like, hey, maybe it's meant to be. I liked
Yeah.
working with the owners directly. So let's do it. So we came on a second round of, partnership, and it was fantastic.